Good morning. How's morale? Guys look a little frightened out there when last I heard from you. How's everybody feeling? I scared Jackson this morning, it would seem. Happy to have you guys here for the next 3 hours. What happened this morning, bud? What'd you think I wasn't going to show up for work?
I knew you were going to show up, but the exact science you have it down to, very impressive. It was 10:00:00, exactly on the dot, 10 o'clock.
Zeros on the dot. Listen, I'm going to brag about this, and then I'm going to be late tomorrow and get fired for it. But I really do have this thing down to a science. I am not going to be here a minute before I need to be. And I'm going to be out the door as soon as we hit that 12:55 break. But in the meantime, I'm happy to be here with you guys and so happy to spend some time talking some ball. We've got a lot to discuss. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, we'd be happy to have you. So there is a lot to talk about. We're going to get into the Falcons legitimately today. We haven't talked about the actual game. That feels negligent. And obviously, it's been a lot of TMZ stuff, right? Trade deadlines got everybody spooked, no pun intended. And with the Kevin Byard move, making it more real, things start to become more viable. It's never been more realistic that Derrick Henry, for example, is not a part of the Tennessee Titans, even though I still think it's less likely that he gets moved because it's going to take a fair amount of work to move him. And we'll get into that throughout the course of the morning. We'd be happy to take your phone calls. You have the F&M Bank chat. You've got all the things at your disposal. So that is the thing that I guess most people, and I said it yesterday, like Baltimore's the team that's most interested in Derrick. Market picked up after they moved Byard on Monday because it lets people know that they're actually serious about moving pieces and parts, and if they could do a deal for Derrick Henry, they would. The question is a team going to come with the right amount of compensation to make it worth your while? And right now, the answer to that remains to be seen. Just because there's a team interested in Derrick Henry, and there wasn't before, doesn't mean that Derrick Henry's getting traded, guys. Like, you can take a deep breath, but it is worth paying attention to that the team that's most interested in him is the team that makes the most sense for him stylistically. Would we not say? Baltimore losing J.K. Dobbins, and that whole situation, even though, I was kind of, I had a bad reaction, let me say, initial reaction to J.K. Dobbins being out there prior to the season beginning, basically arguing for himself as a part of the larger running back contract discussion, because J.K. Dobbins hasn't done what Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley or any of these other running backs have. He's not been available enough, and so I thought it was kind of like, what are you doing, dude? Like, out there in the middle of the contract talks before the year. And then he gets hurt the way that he does, and he's done for the season. And I hate to flip-flop that dramatically, but it's never been more real for the running back position that they will move on from you fast, quick, and in a hurry, and you're never more disposable than when you play that position. But they lose J.K. Dobbins for the year. And Gus Edwards is a fine player. He's solid. And Lamar, if Patrick Mahomes didn't exist, Lamar Jackson would be the leading candidate for NFL MVP this year, right?
Yeah.
It's Mahomes, Lamar probably. Tua hasn't looked bad, but they haven't looked as good as we thought the Dolphins might be, and there's plenty of time in a season for those things to ebb and flow. Tua's probably, I'd say, third in that conversation. Is there an NFC quarterback that's in the running for MVP this year? It's not Hurts. He's not playing very well right now. He's not bad, but he's not as good as he was last year. It doesn't seem so far. Not as sharp as he was last year.
Before the last 2 weeks, I think Brock Purdy you could have had an argument for, but he has not played well the last two. Since they've lost Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams, he has not.
God, it's so wrong that I just forget about the existence of Brock Purdy when he has been literally the most efficient player. He's just so damn dull to watch, but he gets the job done, and they do nothing but score 30 points per game. So let me not be critical of the way that Brock Purdy continues to run things at the quarterback position for San Francisco. Speaking of which, it doesn't sound like he's going to play this weekend against the Bengals. It sounds like it's going to be Sam Darnold. I'm fascinated to see if there's like Like, if there's no drop-off, or are we just admitting that quarterback doesn't matter for the Niners?
That system, yeah. But, yeah, he's got a concussion. And the last player to come out of concussion protocol within a week and play in a game was like week 6 of last season.
Dylan Elam says, tell the Ravens, as we get back on topic here, tell the Ravens, point being, Lamar Jackson is playing at a really high level. They have two average running backs in Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. And Baltimore right now doesn't have the cap space to acquire Henry because Derrick's deal, not only is he going to be 30 here in the very near future, and he's not, the player that he was in 2019 or 2020, but he's still an incredible player. Derrick and the compensation with Derrick and the money, it makes it a lot harder to move. So just because there's an interested party doesn't mean that a trade is still that realistic. Baltimore's cap situation is not good. They're bottom 6. They've got $6.29 million in effective cap space, according to Over the Cap. And, I always kind of just preface anytime we cite Over the Cap or Spot Track that these aren't exact figures because, only the teams know exactly all the different loopholes that they can create money for with the different tools that they have at their disposal. But these are really accurate projections. So $6.29 million in effective cap space is the Ravens. It's a bottom 6 situation. And Derrick has about $6.5 to $7 million, depending on where you look, left on his deal. So immediately you're saying, all right, we talked about this yesterday. They're going to have to buy some of Derrick's contract if they're really serious about moving him. And I do believe that they're serious about moving him. In fact, I know they're serious about moving him. But the compensation has to be worth your while. You cannot do that to your fan base. You cannot do that to him, even though you're going to, in theory, God help him if he ends up on the Bucs. Like, the Bucs are not a bad football team at 3-3, but that would feel not fair, I would think. The compensation has to be right. You can't do it to Derrick. You can't do it to the fan base. You can't do it before he's getting ready to take the field at Nissan Stadium in Houston Oilers blue. You can't do it, right? We put this to, so what does the poll say today? And we've been putting the polls out from Jackson Williams because it's a hell of a week for me to be locked out of my Twitter, but I'm still locked out of my Twitter, even though apparently I got aggregated yesterday. What do we have right now? What is your Twitter handle at JWilly61? Is that right?
Underscore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say it again for people.
JWilly_61.
So that's where the poll
reposted on the Zone account.
Okay, so that's an easier place to find it, but also go follow Jackson Williams because he is my babysitter while Lucas is still somewhere lost in the mountains of Gatlinburg with Megan. But when we come back, when Lucas comes back, ironically enough, we will have my Twitter account again because the only person who currently has access to my Twitter account is damn Lucas Panzica.
Who went into the mountains where we can't reach him.
That's right. Well, we can reach him. He's just actively ignoring us, and, he left me alone on vacation, so I'm going to do the same for him. But we'll have access to my Twitter account again, at least he will, when Lucas comes back. So the polls are on Jackson's Twitter for the time being. What does the poll say today about the Titans and Halloween?
If the Titans were dressing up for Halloween, what would they be? What
would they be going as? Now, Bert, in all of his creative content, Rain Man brain, texted me on my drive in at 9:58:59, saying that the only better suggestion that he might offer is if the Titans were a scary movie. If the Titans 2023 season was a scary movie, what would they be? Because we're trying to find a way to give you some tickets to the Falcons game, and that's how we're going to do our submissions throughout the course of the day. We've got 2 Titans tickets, and we've also got 2 VIP tailgate tickets to go hang out with Slay at the Bridge Building, courtesy of Bullseye Event Group. It's the Titans VIP tailgate, and of course comes with 2 seats to the Titans and Falcons game. We do this for every home game on Titans Ticket Thursday, and so I was trying to think of a creative way to give you guys the opportunity to win some tickets that might also give you the opportunity to laugh at what is clearly and obviously a fan base's pain.
I say we leave the Halloween costume as a poll, and the giveaway we do the scary movie.
Okay, so the giveaway will be the scary movie.
But not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Don't call yet. We've got more things to do today. Noon is when we will do the ticket giveaway, yes?
Sure.
Ish? We'll say ish? Noon-ish?
Yeah, after former Vols quarterback Jonathan Crompton joins us.
How about that? Look at Jackson becoming a radio professional. Yes, former Vols quarterback. We haven't talked at all about the Vols in Kentucky. We'll do so later with Crompton and Kevin Byard's replacement, Elijah Molden, will join us at 11:15 today. Have a lot of things to talk about with him because it's pretty big shoes that he's being asked to fill, at least in the immediate, but this is often how opportunity avails itself in the NFL. Your phone calls are welcome. 615-737-1045 is the number. And as I said, the F&M Bank chat is where you can participate throughout the course of today's show. Coming up next, we are going to get into the impact of this game for the University of Tennessee. Kentucky Week is typically a time when you all thrive. What are the real implications of this coming game? And really, does Tennessee have any great rivals on their schedule this year? We're going to talk about it. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. So we have not talked at all about the University of Tennessee and Kentucky, a big game at Mighty Kroger Field this weekend, Jackson.
Let's go shopping.
Yeah. Get a dub and a carton of eggs, gallon of milk.
Kroger Plus. Do you get a discount on tickets if you bring your Kroger Plus card?
You should. I am a they don't sponsor the show, though we would welcome Kroger's money if they chose to. I am a loyal Kroger shopper because of the gas points. 100%. They had me from the jump. But I do think that this game is worth talking about because the loss to Alabama sucked because you go half to half the way that you do, and you're just like, okay, what happened, boys? You came out so tough, and you'd like to do a little better in the red zone, but for the most part, you felt pretty good. You had a bigger lead at halftime in Tuscaloosa this time around than you did in Knoxville in 2022 when they had the great upset that they did.
And you scored with like 13 seconds left in the half. You go into the half with all of the momentum. And you come out of the half and you let them take it right back. You let the crowd back into the game. It was just a simple collapse from the jump.
And so you come out of that, and obviously that's how we opened the show on Monday. And since then, the Titans have obviously hijacked the news cycle.
Things have happened.
I mean, things have happened, okay? So we've gotten a little bit away from it. But I do feel like this game still has legitimate stakes in the SEC East.
Tennessee can still compete in the SEC East. It's going to take some help at this point with 2 losses because you lose to Florida, you lose to Alabama. You have 2 SEC losses, so they're going to need Georgia to stumble if they're going to want to. But if Tennessee wins out and Georgia loses 1, they still they would go to the SEC championship. Not saying that that's going to happen, but it is still a possibility.
But hope's not dead, is what Jackson's telling you. There is, you can't look at it as nothing left to play for, because I know a lot of people are going to look at this now and be like, what, a better bowl game? And yeah, that is significant, especially given, like, I don't know, just because you won the Orange Bowl last year against Clemson, I don't think that a better bowl game is something that Vols fans should be turning their noses up at, and maybe you're not. I don't want to speak for you that way.
I mean, my whole childhood, we went to like the Music City Bowl or like the Gator Bowl. I'd like a cool bowl.
So just for context, because it's going to make the audience hate you, Jackson, what does your childhood consist of?
I was born in 99.
Yeah, okay.
So not a lot of great Tennessee football.
So you were not alive the last time
I was not.
That the University of Tennessee won a championship.
Have not seen it.
That's the It happened. It happened. But yes, these are still stakes. And by the way, to beat up on Kentucky is a time in, time out tested tradition. Even in your worst moments, you are still able to beat Kentucky. Jackson, the reason you like Kentucky week as much as you do, why?
Because it was always it was a really good SEC win for Tennessee. Think about the Garantano era. The best Garantano games, there was one against South Carolina and then the games against Kentucky, where Kentucky comes in Neyland Stadium in 2018 and they're ranked in the top 10, and Tennessee just absolutely demolishes them 24-7. The next year, a close game at Kroger Field in 2019 as Tennessee kind of rebuilt their season after losing to Georgia State and BYU to open the season. And then in 2020, everything fell apart.
So there's a couple of different interesting notes on this game. One, because Jackson just in his most orange-colored glasses way humanly possible just laid out your path potentially still to the SEC championship. Keep hope alive.
I mean, hey, hope is alive. I'm giving you the facts. Do with them as you will.
You are giving me a specific set of facts. Indeed, you are the entire picture is a different story. But
I didn't give you the percentage chance of that happening.
You have provided me with a convenient set of facts. Yes. There's this. Go and beat your rivals the way that you should. You've already given up one to Florida. We'll see what happens with the Georgia game coming up here in the very near future. And Alabama, I mean, one game in the last. So how long? Remind me, how long had it been since Tennessee had beaten Alabama when they won last year. 16 years? Is that right?
16 years.
16 years, 20 since they've won in Tuscaloosa.
03.
So one game in 16 years, a rivalry does not make. I know it's the third Saturday in October. I know they church it up real nice for you on the CBS broadcast. But, like, realistically, not a rivalry game when the other team runs you the way that they do. And I know that's gross, and I know you still have the one over them in Neyland, and you're going to have that feel good forever, and I'm not trying to take it from you. But, like, realistically, rivalry, hell, I don't know that any of these games are actually rivalries in recent memory, other than you just hate them because Florida has had a pretty good run of success over you, and you have had a considerable run of success over Kentucky. So, like, are these games rivalries in the truest sense? And then there's Vanderbilt, but, it's just kind of like the little stepbrother down the hall there that you forget about from time to time or something like that. It's a lot of different lopsided results, or at least runs, for these respective teams. And then there's the idea that, comes to my mind just because I'm a sicko. But Jackson, if Kentucky beats Tennessee on Saturday, do Titans fans hold that against Will Levis on Sunday?
I personally will not, I guess.
I don't know. You were when I texted you on Saturday, you seemed to be in a different state than the rational person that sits before me now.
I was not rational when you text. You did text me at a very convenient time to catch me in that moment.
I have a knack for that.
Because it was like, I don't even think the score was final yet. I think there was like 10 seconds left right before Joe Milton dumped it off to, I believe, Dylan Sampson with like no time on the clock, and that ended the game. I still don't know why he did that, but I digress. I don't think you can hold it against Will Levis. He didn't play.
I'm teasing.
Beat Will Levis twice.
I'm teasing. Although I don't put it past some of you.
I don't either. That's why I took it seriously. I've seen it.
Dylan Elam in the F&M Bank chat says, just a couple more months until Devin Leary is a Titan. No, stop it. Stop it right now. The implications of this game are, by percentage, more for a better bowl game than anything else, realistically. But I don't think that in the same way that we're talking about, to an extent, the Titans are waving a white flag on their season. That does not mean that you get to just kind of be like, well, they're not going to the national championship or they're not going to the Final Four this year. What do I care? That is my least favorite way to approach games that do still have great meaning and great consequence, especially because you got something to prove on the road. The Vols, we talk about the Titans a lot, and frankly, the Titans coverage has been lopsided this week for obvious reasons, and it tends to be that way when Lucas is out and Jackson isn't as comfortable checking me, though it seems he's getting more confident back there. Don't feel great about that.
Hey.
Hey, what?
Just keep going, bud.
They just petered out there. Hey, what?
I don't know. Keeping you on your toes,
okay,
bud.
Great. But I do think that it's been we've gotten away from it, and I do think that this game matters because I would like for Joe Milton and Josh Heupel to still prove something to me. I would like to see more from this defense. I would like to see Kentucky coming out of a bye, how they respond in this particular situation. This is a game that I think should be pretty compelling.
These are 2 5-2 SEC teams going at it. This should be a very good game.
So, obviously, so let's talk about the implications. If they beat Kentucky, they are still, even though the SEC East, is Georgia's to lose, Missouri is going to have a crack to do an opportunity to do something this weekend, but we'll see how realistic that actually is. Tennessee then still getting ready to host Georgia remains the biggest threat to Georgia in the SEC East. Kentucky could have, I guess, made a compelling case. Devin Leary, I think on the whole, has been underwhelming on the season. And I think that you should expect to beat Kentucky, even if it's a road game, even if you know the Vols struggle on the road, and even if you know what the struggles have been for them all year long and the lack of consistency that they have. I still believe that you should operate with a degree of confidence that says, yeah, this is a game that's winnable. This is a game that, and I know they expect to win, but as a fan base, this is a game that Vols fans should and I think largely do expect to win. And if, we don't have to talk about hypotheticals until they happen, but obviously the discussion is going to be much different, I think, around Josh Heupel if they blow a game to Kentucky.
You don't lose to Kentucky.
You just don't.
You know what happened to the last coach who lost to Kentucky? Jeremy Pruitt. It was his last season, and he got absolutely destroyed by Kentucky at home.
It wasn't the Chick-fil-A bags full of cash. It wasn't the recruiting violations.
It was that too,
yeah,
but
also.
The Kentucky game was when a lot of the fans checked out on Jeremy Pruitt.
615-737-1045 is the number. Billy Johnson says, do none of, I suppose speaking to the ether in the FNM Bank chat, as if we're not the ones reading it, but he says, do none of these talking heads, I assume us, remember the Vols on the road in LSU? Are you talking about last year? I'm
a talking head now? That's sick.
Are you excited?
A little bit.
You've been talking a lot.
So I do remember the LSU game.
I wasn't there, but I witnessed it.
It was great win. Tennessee also went on the road and beat Vandy, but that's pretty much a home game for Tennessee. No offense to Vandy. I mean, just looking at the crowd in that game.
And what's the difference between Tennessee going on the road last year at LSU and winning decisively and this year's Tennessee team?
I think a big difference was Hendon Hooker at quarterback.
I would say the vast majority of your offensive personnel is no longer on this football team. 2
NFL receivers, a top 10 pick at right tackle.
First-round pick at right tackle. 2 legitimate pros. We'll see what happens with Hyatt. I feel bad for him that Daniel Jones is his quarterback, but, whatever. And Cedric Tillman could certainly benefit from some better quarterback play this season as well. You do have 4 players, including Hendon Hooker, right there that are of significant consequence to why the offense is operating as poorly as it is. You got drops all over the place. You got an inefficient quarterback or an inconsistent. I don't even want to call him inconsistent. I think Joe Milton is consistent, and what I get from him is going to be a roller coaster ride every time he's out there. Like, I think the consistency is the inconsistency of Joe Milton.
Consistently inconsistent.
That's correct.
And plus, the LSU game, it was an 11 a.m. kick. I think you have to put a little bit of weight into that. A 3:30 kick, very different. A 7 o'clock kick, very different. I think you have to put that into the factors of that road game. It's
just such a shame, and Tyler Dial does well to point this out, that last year's offense is not this year's offense. Last year's offense with this year's defense would be nasty, and I would agree with that assessment. It's unfortunate.
James Pierce is a dog.
Yeah, brother. That's a legitimate player. I'm excited to see how his career continues to progress, and they're recruiting well up front, which is the thing. I mean, and I don't know how much that's Rodney Gardner. We've talked about that before versus Josh Heupel, and Josh Heupel, the criticisms of him coming into Tennessee, but the recruiting situation on defense has been, at least the returns thus far have been promising. Anyway, 615-737-1045 is the number. We'd be happy to have you. Gator Mike is up next. What's happening?
Buck, how you doing this morning?
Great, buddy.
Hey, I'm like you. I love my Tennessee fans, but even when they beat Florida last year and in 2016, you win 2 out of 18. That's not a rivalry either. So here's my question. The way that college football is now, and Jackson can chime in on this. So let's say Josh Heupel loses to Kentucky and then presumably loses to Georgia. Does that make him a little bit on the hot seat because he can't beat his rivals? Like other situations, like the Florida fans, we get mad at Billy Napier because he can't beat Kentucky. Like Jack said, you can't not beat Kentucky. You're supposed to beat Kentucky. You're supposed to beat Vanderbilt. You're supposed to beat Missouri as a Florida or a Georgia or, a recruiting hotbed university. So those are just my questions.
I think it's interesting. I don't think you can say Josh Heupel will be on the hot seat at any point this year. He could lose out, and I don't think he's on the hot seat because he beat Alabama and he beat Florida in year 2. He overachieved in his second year as head coach. And you have to look at the talent he lost, and he's still building his program. A lot of Pruitt guys are still on the roster. He's still building something here that's going to take more time than I think we believe. You still can't really lose to Kentucky. I mean, it's one of the rivalry games that Tennessee dominates. It's one of those teams you play every year, and you're supposed to dominate them. So it's just kind of how Kentucky goes.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not like he hasn't lost to Kentucky, so let's not, again, let's not traffic in hypotheticals unnecessarily, but try to look at this realistically. I do think that, like, I am still learning about Josh Heupel. I think Vols fans are still learning about Josh Heupel. I think we did the radio show. Oh, it was for the Fight DMD golf tournament, and I can't remember. It must have been after the Florida loss, where the lead analyst for Fox, I'm blanking on his name, that does the games with Gus Johnson, he has the podcast. It's going to make me insane. We played the audio, Jackson. This is terrible. I can picture his face. Anyway, somebody will tell me in the F&M Bank chat here in just a second. I apologize for forgetting the name, but he got on his podcast afterwards, and Fox aggregated and put it all over their YouTube channels about how Vols fans had been betrayed, been sold a bill of goods, had been led astray, bamboozled, basically, about what it is that Josh Heupel was doing, because they did come out and pee themselves against the Florida Gators in the Swamp. Joel Klatt, thank you. Nate Patton on YouTube. Thank you. It's driving me insane. So Joe Klatt on his podcast came out after the Florida loss and was basically saying that what Vols fans had been sold, inciting outrage from Vols fans about what they had been sold about a program versus last year's team. That's what I'm still trying to learn about Josh Heupel. Are we seeing the foundation of a legitimate program being built? I think yes. I think it's too early to determine anything otherwise. I think that the Florida loss was disappointing. I think the second half of the Alabama game is as bad as they've looked in a half of football under Josh Heupel at any given point, right? Like that's the floor.
Monumental.
So, those things were disappointing for obvious reasons, but I don't think that that's enough of a sample size this is year 3.
This is year 3.
For us to make any specific indictments or assessments, any kind of ultimatums about what Josh Heupel is or isn't. Losing to Kentucky would start a conversation. Absolutely. And, how much more realistic that is and how much of it is just talk, well, like I said, it's still early in the tenure. But we know that the leash for college football coaches has never been tighter, that the environment that college football coaches currently exist in has never been more toxic, and that Vols fans, while passionate, are also insane, and we love you very much for that.
That's fair.
And listen, I both fear and respect them. I love it. I had more fun. Jackson, I'm telling you, I'd never been to an event like that in my life, a sporting event like that in my life. To go to Neyland for a game, specifically against Florida, they won that game. It got dramatic at the end. It was so cool. It's as great or it's as much fun or as impressed as I've been with a sporting event that I've attended. And I've, because of work, I've had the opportunity to go to a lot of really cool things in my lifetime. Nothing topped that for me. I don't think so, that I can think of. There's been the Titans upset over the Ravens was a pretty impressive thing, but that was not a fan thing. I was working. So, but to be able to go and experience all that is and all the history, and it's 100,000 plus people on your neck for 60 minutes, it's great.
My favorite sporting event of all time is actually a Tennessee loss that I've been to. The Tennessee Ole Miss game in 21. That was the only time I was there that Neyland was fully sold out and rocking. Like, that was the first taste of that.
So that was my first real SEC college football experience. But again, pressure. All that to say, pressure cooker. And while I think Jackson is 100% correct, Josh Heupel is not in danger, not on the hot seat or anything like that right now. Losing to Kentucky would start a legitimate conversation about, depending on how it looks. There has to be nuance. If they are making bonehead decisions on their 4th and 1 play calls, and that's what cost them the game, and they're going for it on their own 35 and stuff like that, that's dumb. It's just dumb.
You gave Alabama a short field to get them back into that game.
Way too often. Anyway, 615-737-1045. We can take some phone calls coming up next. We will also get into NFL teams that we have most and least enjoyed watching. There's a couple of teams on Thursday Night Football that I don't know what to do with. You're going to hear from Greg Cosell on Malik Willis and Will Levis and what the Titans' plan at quarterback should be moving forward based on the tape. A lot of stuff to do. Don't forget Elijah Molden, Jonathan Crompton going to be part of the show today, too. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, 615-737-1045. We are going to get back to Titans and Falcons talk. You'll hear from Greg Cosell on the matchup. Kevin Byard's replacement for at least Sunday. Elijah Molden is going to be on with us at 11:15. So you'll hear from him later on today, too. Don't forget, speaking of Vols, former Vols quarterback, good buddy Crompton. Jonathan Crompton had been on the show in a while. And he's doing the A to Z Sports halftime and post-game show, reacting to each and every Vols game. So we'll catch up with Cromp, see what he makes of this particular Vols team. Your phone calls in the meantime. Tommy in Franklin is next.
Good morning, Buck. How you doing today?
I'm great, bud.
Hey, I appreciate this conversation, but I'm also a little tired of hearing all this crap. I see it on the Vol for Life site. I see it on a lot of other sites involving the volunteers. I mean, people, can you be real about this? The guy caught lightning in a bottle last year. I'll agree. Everything come together, and it was an exciting year. I'm 68 years old. I've been going to Vol games for the last 53 years, and I'm a season ticket holder. I just wish everybody take a chill pill. Yeah, we expect to beat Kentucky every year, just like we expect to beat South Carolina and Vanderbilt every year. Back when the schedule used to be, we caught all three of those teams in November. But it's a different day. Other programs are getting better. Tennessee, you guys quoted yesterday that the Vols are 8-2 against Stoops. We're going up there expecting to win, and see how it falls out. But Heupel's under contract till, I think, 27 or 28. And do you not remember Lane Kiffin, Derrick Dooley, Jeremy Pruitt, and Butch Jones? Dude, we've been on the roller coaster. We've had bad coaches. This guy has got talent, and we're going through a little learning curve with Joe Melton. He is what he is. You're not going to start a freshman. So everybody just sit down, take a chill pill, and let's get on with it.
That's right, Tommy. We appreciate you.
Chill pill has been taken.
That's right. The man is here to preach some sense.
Lane Kiffin wasn't a bad coach. He just left. He's just abandoned everybody.
Well, although, I mean, like, how good a coach is Lane Kiffin? I mean, really, in the tier of coaches, Lane Kiffin is a good football coach. I'm not disputing that, but I do think that Lane gets a little bit of a popularity boost because Lane Kiffin is famous
and he's funny.
And funny, on top of, and, willing to say some stuff like who's actually calling the plays for Alabama's defense, which is still objectively hilarious to me, even when you get pantsed. But I do think Lane gets a little bit of a boost from being Lane as much as he is the football coach.
But he's leagues better than Derrick Dooley, Butch Jones, or
I agree.
Jeremy Pruitt.
Jake in Murfreesboro is next.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, guys. I just want to say, Buck, man, much as I've heard you on the radio, I have never heard you say you've been to an event and the team actually won. So where was you at last couple of weeks when we was playing Florida, man? You should have been in that game.
For Tennessee? No, my losing streak was exclusive to local teams. I had the one Vols game that I've attended in person as a fan. They won.
Okay, so let's keep it up, man. Keep coming to the Vols game.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, all right, just that. Thank you, Jake. We appreciate the call. I'm going to Preds game on Saturday. I'm scared. I just want to see them win. It makes me so angry.
When's the last time you saw the Preds win?
Oh my
in
God.
Person?
Like the week before COVID shut everything down.
What?
It was an overtime game. I had lost the bet to the midday 180 with PK and Chad and all them. They were still on the air here. And it was after Tennessee beat Indiana in that damn Gator Bowl where, because Indiana couldn't for the life of them cover an onside kick, I had to shave my head. It was a bet between me and David Reed. Reed had bet his beard against my hair. Now, I have above average hair, at least for a 30-year-old, because all of my friends appear to be losing their hair at a very rapid rate, and I still have mine, knock on wood. Yeah, I'm saying, honestly.
Subtle flex.
Yeah, well, just anything that you can. Having hair is not a subtle flex, Jackson. It's just something that I fear is going to happen to me because I see it happening to everybody else. Anyway, we don't have to talk about this. So my hair came back, fortunately, but I had to shave my head, and I looked like male genitalia for the better part of like 2 months. It was Valentine's Day. My girlfriend at the time was going to, murder me. All right. I did it the day, I think I did it the day we left for the Valentine's Day trip. Oh, it's a wonder that woman made it as long as she did, to be honest with you. A lot of stuff. God bless. Anyway, so I had lost the bet to the midday 180, and I remember this because there's a picture of me and her at the hockey game and I didn't have my hair, and it was we went with my good buddy Gary Ashton, the real estate guy. He had Lexus Lounge tickets. Gary was good enough to take us, so we went down the Lexus Lounge. We had a great time. Preds won in overtime. And then the next week, the world ended, I think, or like 2 weeks after the world ended. And that was the last time I saw at least with me in attendance. With me in attendance, that's the last time I've seen the Preds win a hockey game. It's damn near been 3 years.
You watching the Preds win literally brought a plague.
That's right. That's right. The one win I got to see, or the last win I got to see, brought on a global pandemic.
They need to ban you from that arena.
Honestly. John says, Buck, you obviously don't go to a lot of Preds games. No, I don't get to go to, guys, my schedule is nights and weekends. I don't get to go to a lot of stuff. This is, unfortunately, somebody asked me the other day if I have any hobbies, and I had to say, no, I have none. I do this. This is my hobby. This is, unfortunately, way too much of my personal and my professional existence is way too intertwined. Anyway, so no, I don't get to go to a lot of games. So when I go, I would like to see, I'd like to enjoy the experience other than drinking as much tequila at the Patron bar as humanly possible to try and suffer through whatever game that I'm at that they've blown. Anyway, so hopefully Saturday they win. I don't know how we got there. 615-737-1045 is the number. Ricky says, totally betting the Maple Leafs since you will be in attendance. Brett Kern texts me before he goes to Nashville SC games to see if I'm there because he's scared they might lose. Him and Corey Curtis from Channel 2. Some friends.
Jake from the Borough just called back in and said, you should shave your head again.
I don't want to shave my head again. I don't.
For a Preds W?
No. Not a, what is it? It's the first week of the second week of the season? Third week of the season? How long has hockey been going on? It's not 3 weeks.
I think it's the third week of the season. It started the end of 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So a couple of weeks. No, we're not doing this for a October regular season game. I already have to wear a Mayo costume. I was working out this morning. That makes me sound way bigger of a D-bag than I actually meant to sound. But anyway, trainer extraordinaire, Worth Campbell over there at Trumav, just down the street from us in the Gulch, was listening to our bit on Will Levis and the Mayo costume yesterday. If the Titans win and Will Levis is the starting quarterback against the Falcons, I'm going to come in here on Tuesday for my Halloween costume dressed as a thing of mayonnaise. And Worth had gone the extra mile looking up mayonnaise costumes for me, and all he could find was a generic brand. Now, Hellman's is Levis's sponsor, but of course, we are in the Southeast, and to wear anything but a Duke's mayonnaise, there's a lot of free ads for a lot of things that I didn't mean to do, but there's cultural standards that we must adhere to.
Jonathan Brown in the FNM Bank chat has an announcement. He says if his memory serves him correctly, you still owe the people your face painted for the Super Bowl.
God damn it! But I already have the mayonnaise costume. Do I have to wear the Eagles face paint in the mayonnaise costume? Can I do these things at once?
That would be the craziest show.
I got aggregated yesterday for the Derrick Henry thing. Can you imagine if there was an aggregated clip of me on the internet from the radio show dressed as a gallon of mayonnaise with my face painted like an eagle? We need to find some news to break on Tuesday. Tuesday, ironically enough, is the trade deadline, so maybe we can do this. Oh, my God. All right. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to get involved. We can get back into the Titans. Obviously, Derrick Henry's situation is something that people are talking about. I asked Greg Cosell where the best fit for Derrick Henry is if this team is serious about moving him. We will talk about that coming up next.
It is 11:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Jackson Williams. Titans making a couple of moves yesterday as they claim safety Kevon Wallace off waivers from the Arizona Cardinals. Wallace has 5 starts on the year with an interception to his name while playing 80% of the Cardinals' defensive snaps. Titans also signed former second-round pick Marlon Davidson to the practice squad and placed defensive lineman Taylor Stallworth on injured reserve. They were also back on the practice field yesterday and saw some positives. Wide receiver Treylon Burks practiced fully along with Jeffrey Simmons, Tier Tart, and Chris Moore. Ryan Tannehill and Josh Wiley, only players not at practice yesterday. In the NBA, the Grizzlies kicked off their season last night, starting the first game of Ja Morant's 25-game suspension. The Grizzlies fall to the Pelicans 111-104. Desmond Bane scoring a game-high 32 points, but wasn't enough to hold off teammates Zion Williamson and C.J. McCollum, who combined for 47 points. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour. Call it second down, whatever you want to. We're happy to have you. Welcome in. Welcome back if you've been kicking it with us so far. Titans back on the practice field a little later. Elijah Molden will join us in 10 minutes. So we'll look forward to talking to him about his expanded role coming up on Sunday. Big shoes to fill with Kevin Byard traded to Philadelphia. Do we have any idea? Are the Eagles on the bye this week? I don't know if Philadelphia is on a bye. I don't know. I need to double check the schedule. But that thought just popped into my mind. If I know Kevin Byard was announced and arrived in Philadelphia yesterday to much fanfare, and that hurt a lot of people on social media.
They play the Commanders Sunday at noon.
Excellent.
The Philadelphia Titans.
The Philadelphia Titans. Don't do that.
Look at their offense, and you see a plethora of former Titans. Julio, AJ.
Oh, Julio
Mariota's the backup.
That's right. Marcus is there, too.
Zach Cunningham and Kevin on the defensive side.
Cunningham is playing well. He's a starter for them. He's playing well. All of a sudden, he goes to Philadelphia. He keeps his elbow attached. And that was like a late season pickup for them. Anyway, we don't have to talk about the Philadelphia Titans and how well they'll do with Kevin Byard. But we do have to have a legitimate conversation about, okay, Titans open for business. Open for business includes names like DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry. I still think that it is less likely that those players are moved before next Tuesday's trade deadline, while also acknowledging that the possibility for them being moved has never been more real. Both things can be so. Derrick, yesterday, we talked about this. I mentioned it on the radio show. I put out an article yesterday. Apparently, it got aggregated, and that the Baltimore Ravens have been, at least in the last couple of days, the most interested team in Derrick Henry. Doesn't mean that they've made an offer. Doesn't mean that they're going to trade Derrick to the Ravens, which would hurt a lot of you, I think, deeply, because, of course, Titans legend Jadeveon Clowney is succeeding at a high level there, which infuriates you, I'm sure. But it does mean that we have to have a conversation about, all right, well, if they move him, what do they do? What does that mean? Are they a better football team with him or with the assets that he might bring? What are the assets that he might bring? Because that's a very difficult question to answer right now. Or at least it's an unsatisfactory question for you guys to get the answer to. It seems a lot of you. So I asked Greg Cosell yesterday, and full disclosure, Greg and I talked about the idea that Derrick, at least that the Ravens had interest in him prior to the podcast beginning. But he did give me this answer unprompted when I asked him, hey, Greg, where does Derrick Henry make the most sense? Oh, he wasn't ready. It's okay, bud. Derrick Henry is still currently a member of the Tennessee Titans. We don't know what lies ahead specifically, but there is starting to be rumblings of more momentum towards moving him. So we'll see what happens between now and the next time that we talk. But if there was a team that you would like to see Derrick Henry on, or that you think particularly fits his skill set, or that he brings value to, is there one that comes to mind off the top of your head?
I mean, I think that's limited to some degree because Derrick Henry is a foundation back who doesn't give you much more than just handing the ball off to Derrick Henry. Now, and I would say, and I'm sure he would disagree, and maybe others would, but I would say that he's, more on the downside than the upside. I don't think he looks exactly the same. Now, does that mean he can't have a 20 carry, 140-yard game? Of course it doesn't mean that. But I don't know if he's your bell cow anymore. And because he's a certain kind of back, you're probably limited in a team that would be interested. I mean, I think a team that probably, Baltimore would come to mind. I think they'd be looking for a back since Dobbins is done for the year. Edwards is a really solid player. Justice Hill is a nice player in their scheme. But, I think they would probably like to have that kind of player since they still play with Picard, the 300-pound fullback. So, I think that's one possibility. As I think about other teams, I don't know, but
it's tough
because teams don't really play like that. I mean, if you trade for Derrick Henry, aren't you pretty much saying he's now the guy? I mean, are you trading for Derrick Henry to give him 7 carries a game?
You can't. He's already become a role player here, and I think that's a role player to an extent. I mean, obviously we know what Derrick does well, but he has it's kind of like Liam Neeson and Taken. He's got a very particular set of skills, and
there you go.
Skills, you know what I'm saying?
And you don't want to know about that skill set because it's not going to end up well for you, right?
That's right.
There you
exactly
go.
right. So I think that's kind of the nature of the Derrick Henry situation. What actually comes to pass, we will see.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, but I hope fans understand that if he is traded, first of all, I hope fans understand that you're not getting a first or second round pick. So just because of what Derrick Henry's accomplished in his past, which is, all Hall of Fame type for 4 or 5 years, and obviously the most dominant runner in the league for 4 or 5 years, that's not the way he is now, and you're not going to get a first or second round pick. If they can get a 4th round pick, Buck, I think they would jump at it.
I know that is indeed the case. So that's from the install yesterday. You can watch the full episode on YouTube on 104.5 The Zone's YouTube channel. We talk a lot about Derrick Henry, about the Falcons coming up, about the challenge that Will Levis particularly will face, and why Malik Willis probably shouldn't see extended opportunities right now. Coming up next, though, we are going to be joined by the guy who's tasked with replacing Kevin Byard on Sunday, at least in some form or fashion. Elijah Molden, Titans defensive back, is on the radio show coming up next. Welcome back to the show. Elijah Molden going to pop on the line here in just a second. We can take your phone calls in the meantime. 615-737-1045. Titans hosting the Falcons at Sunday on Nissan Stadium. Noon. I'm going to tell you how you can win some tickets. Mike in the Borough is next. What's happening, Mike?
Hey, Buck, thanks for taking the call. Love the show. I feel like it's probably the best one on the station. So,
well, they're all good. I think we're all just different.
yeah, for sure. So I know that a lot of these moves that we're currently making or potentially making are necessary, and a lot of them are potentially for draft picks, but I've also heard on other shows them talking about how much cap space this is opening up, that will be like the second highest or lowest, whichever way you want to look at it, cap space. Will have the second most room for potential free agents next year. What I haven't, and I know this is super early, but what kind of free agents are even potentially out there for next year? Is it anything that we need? Are we freeing up this space just to go grab somebody, or are we looking at someone?
Thanks for the call, Mike. We can get into that a little later. To be honest with you, it's week 8 in the NFL season, and I'd be lying to you if I said if I've been combing through free agent list, even if the team is in an interesting spot. But there's a football game to be played on Sunday, and we're here to talk about it with Elijah Molden, who is getting ready to go out to practice here in just a little bit. How we living, Stud? Is this the first time you've been on the radio show this year?
This year for sure. I think, probably my rookie year I came on and made a little appearance. But, yeah, man, what's up?
It's so disrespectful of us, I feel like. I feel like we should do a better job because I always feel like I enjoy talking to you. And I don't know if you would have a similar vibe every time you're on, but I was
just wondering if you had to practice your radio voice or if you were born with one.
Oh, no, buddy. This is the only reason I have a job. It's the only reason I have a credential for you guys is because I sound like this. This is the thing.
Right.
Like, I have no other discernible talents, Elijah, but this is the only reason that they keep me employed. What is the thing that you have, beyond an obvious talent for football? Like, is there a unique talent that you have that people don't know about?
No, man, not really.
One?
Not that I can think of. Man. I mean, I never did talent shows or nothing like that.
So wait, what did you participate in? Did you do so? No talent shows. Was it just sports for you coming up, or were there other outside interests?
Yeah, man, I wasn't in the jazz club or nothing like that. Just sports. My family was so big. I feel like that's kind of the only thing we had time to do. It was just sports. So maybe another one of my siblings has a hidden talent.
So how many of there are you total?
8 total. I'm the second oldest of 8.
Okay, what the hell is that like? Because I grew up mostly an only child. We adopted my younger sister when I was basically fully formed as a human being. So it was more a single child experience than it wasn't. What the hell is that like for people who don't understand what it's like to grow up with 8 siblings?
Just chaos, really, and just chaos. I didn't really realize it until I got to college and I was alone in my dorm room. Like, what the hell, what is all this time? And it's so quiet. But, yeah, man, I love my family, obviously, like most people do. So, but yeah.
But you're growing up in a locker room environment before you actually hit the locker room, yeah?
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Different personalities. You got to, you got to communicate with them differently, all that type stuff.
And so, like, now that you're getting this opportunity, and you've had a couple opportunities here during the course of your career here, but obviously Sunday is going to be a big opportunity for a lot of people out there on the field, and you guys trying to win a football game against the Falcons coming to town. Like, how has that experience kind of informed the way that you've interacted with teammates, that you've handled different situations and things of that nature?
Yeah, I feel like personally, like my first 3 years have kind of been like funny. You know what I mean? Kind of like ups and downs and some things sideways with my injury and stuff. And then I came back and now I'm kind of put in a different role and a new position and all that stuff. But I just take kind of one moment at a time and try to help the team as best as I can. And right now it's just about just getting our positivity up. And obviously we lost a great leader like KB, but we still got to move forward. Like this is far from finished. It's not like we're rolling over or nothing like that. Like we're gonna win games. So that's the mentality. I feel like a lot of opportunity on the table for a lot of people. Yeah, man, we just got to capitalize.
Elijah Molden, Titans defensive back, hanging out here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Apparently no other hobbies but football, or no other special talents but football, but I don't know. I think you're holding out on us a little bit. I know you're still a cat dad, right? Like we still have that in common?
Say it again. I'm a cat. Yeah, I got a couple cats.
A couple? Wait, that's new. Is there been an addition?
New. I have a daughter now. She's 7 months. Man, I cook dinner every night. That could be my talent. It's not like nothing crazy, but
now, but you know when you're feeling it in the kitchen. What's the go-to?
What's the go? Right now, I do like a little pesto pasta, man.
Okay, that's spicing it up a little bit. There's nothing that's a very, very I think straightforward dish. You know what you're getting, but it's good every time.
Exactly. And not a lot of people in the locker room can cook, so.
That I believe. I don't know if most of them have somebody doing the cooking for them at this point, but certainly that is not a talent that I would ascribe overwhelmingly to a football locker room.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously KB has been a big talking point this week, and, you guys have been peppered about it by the rest of the Vultures in the locker room throughout the course of the week. But, like, when you see that come down, I guess, how did you find out, Elijah?
I found out on social media. I feel like most players do that way. KB, I can't speak for KB, but
right.
I'm assuming he knew it was coming before then.
And so have you talked to him? Has he reached out? Like, what's that dynamic been like? Because oftentimes you guys are so wrapped up in this that it seems common for us to assume that, yeah, of course they're talking the whole way through and they're reaching out to teammates and everybody knows everything that's going on with everybody's lives. But it's a pretty chaotic situation when things like this come down.
It is, yeah. I mean, of course, I reached out to him right away. We talked a little bit, but like you said, things are moving so fast. It wasn't like we all got together for like one last meal. He's on a flight to Philly. He's getting things together with his family, all that stuff. So, said, wished him well, all this stuff, and we're gonna be in touch throughout the season. That's kind of how it is.
And so now Falcons coming to town. They are in first place in their division. Art wasn't here when you were here. I think your rookie year was 2021, correct?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, so not necessarily the connection there, but obviously they've got a lot of different pieces and parts that are fun to work with. What do you see when you watch them on offense right now?
I feel like they're a tough team, and they got some unique talents. They have Kyle Pitts. Obviously, he's got so much length, and he's got receiver-like ability with a bigger body, and then obviously their running backs, both of them, are playing well, and Bijan's one of the he's a weapon in this league. So definitely some talented players on that side of the ball. But overall, I think their identity is that they're going to play tough. They're going to play you hard.
Working with Chris Harris this season, you talk about things being funny. That dude cracks me up anytime I'm watching him on the practice field. And just because up against when we speak to him, and I know, speaking to us, nobody benefits anything at all saying anything interesting to us, Elijah. I came to terms with that a long, long time ago. Right. But he's so mild-mannered, so I think, I don't want to say that it's a different form of professionalism that I'm seeing from him in our discussions versus what I see from him on the practice field. What's he like to play for?
Yeah, I mean, he's a high-energy guy. He's super positive and optimistic. He believes in his players, and I feel like that's what we need. I think players, you got to have confidence in this league, and when a coach is instilling that and believing in you, it makes it that much easier.
And so with that said, to be running alongside Amani Hooker, who's been doing it for a long time, you guys know each other well, obviously. You've been in this defensive back room. Hell, it's a young group, but you're one of the vets now, which is, I don't know if that's weird to hear or weird to say because it does seem like it goes quickly. But for people who, I guess for the audience, how would you describe what the week of work, has it differed at all for you and what your preparation looks like and how you work with Amani specifically and the rest of your teammates? Like, what does that look like that's maybe outside of the normal of what the last couple of weeks have been?
Right. I mean, I think first and foremost is just more reps on the back end there, and then just making sure like Amani and I are on the same page with our disguises and just communicating. You know what I mean? So, but for the most part, it's the same. You know, like you kind of talked about, like one person leaves, the next person steps up, and there's not that much time to kind of dwell on it. You know what I mean? So, kind of pick up where things left off, and I got to go in and my main focus is communication and getting everyone on the same page. You know, running my side of the field and making sure that we're all feeling good about, you know, the way things are before the snap and after.
Elijah Molden is hanging out with us before he heads out to practice for the day. Let him go here in just a second. Obviously, the quarterback situation is one that is another where somebody's going to have to step up. Who it is, Mike hasn't disclosed to us yet, and I'm not gonna ask you about who's going to play, but just for your perspective on practicing against these guys, Elijah, because we've seen more of Malik, obviously, both in practice and in game opportunities. Will is still a bit of an anomaly because of the time that he got injured, unfortunately, in the preseason. But for you, who's working against these guys on a daily basis, what have you seen from both of them, and in particular, the growth that you've seen from both of them?
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably the main thing is just the growth from the first time they came here to now. They both have a lot of talent, and they're picking things up pretty quickly. You know, from my perspective, they both have a cannon. You know what I mean, and they offer different skill sets at the position. So, you know, I believe Vrabel told you and everyone else that, you know, we're going to play both of them. So that's the way it is. I mean, someone in my position, the only thing I can control is doing my job, and as a defense, we just focus on going out there and not letting them score points.
Mike also told us a lot of other things under his breath, but I don't think those are safe for FCC air. Elijah Molden, kind enough to hang out with us here on 104.5 The Zone. I appreciate the time, buddy. Continued health and success, and look at hell, I haven't even asked you about the Oilers uniform. You hype?
Yeah, I think they're sweet. I'm trying to figure out what type of cleats I'm gonna wear and all that stuff.
So, like, are we leaning one color versus the other? What's the vibe?
Oh, have we not announced what color we're wearing?
No, I mean, I didn't know if
the cleats.
I'm talking about the cleats. Is there specifically, like, if the audience is watching you on Sunday in particular, what should they be looking for? Let's give them a little bit of a carrot here.
I'm a big red cleats, red gloves guy. I gotta have one of them just so my people can kind of point me out pretty quick.
Yeah, it's a nice look. It's going to be cool to see on Sunday. Titans hosting the Falcons, noon the kickoff. You can hear it right here on 104.5 The Zone. Appreciate the time, bud.
Thanks, Buck. Take it easy.
That's Elijah Molden with us on 104.5 The Zone. Yeah, it's tough shoes to fill, but you know, I feel this way about Fulton and I feel this way about Molden in the sense that I have a lot, and Hooker too. Just based on the interactions that I've had with them, I do think that they have the right demeanor to be able to handle these kind of situations. Now, I know Fulton is a hot button issue, and that a lot of people, understandably so, and he has been self-critical, maybe not as self-critical as you would like for him to be. But I do think that they have the demeanor that it's not going to faze them. You know, it's easy for us to get bent out of shape. It's real easy for me to get bent out of shape about a lot of different things. You guys literally witness. You can see it in my neck veins every time you turn on the F&M Bank chat, right? I would not do well as a defensive back at any level.
Personal fouls galore.
Oh, there would be fouls. There would be a lot of bad body language. There would be a lot of late hits. I would not do well. Any position that requires an overwhelming amount of emotional discipline, I would not, I think, fare well in.
I could see you cussing a ref out. Getting thrown out of a game. Tossing your helmet into the stand.
Yeah, I'm for sure that person.
While the security team's like trying to like escort you to the locker room, you're still just.
That's right. I'm Antonio Brown. I'm skipping through the end zone. I'm taking my shirt off and whipping it around, quitting on Tom Brady in real time. And listen, the job of a defensive back in the NFL at any level of football has never been harder. So you're asking a young player who, in his own, by his own definition, has had a funny career. And whether it's funny, whether it's frustration, I know how badly he wanted to get out there, because you were seeing him have success as your slot in his rookie season after a bit of a slower start. And they pulled him out of the lineup. They put him back in as the season wore on, and he made a difference. The groin injury cost him time. It popped on him once, and then it popped on him again, and it kept him out for the vast majority of the season. And I know that really bogged him down, but I think that the coach that they have in place for the corners and the defensive backs in particular, with Chris Harris and Scott Booker, I think those two have managed the situation really, really well, even as the results have obviously not been to their liking, specifically when we're talking about Christian Fulton. I do think that they are equipped to be able to handle a situation like this. Results, we'll see. They're not a better football team for not having Kevin Byard back there. And Elijah Molden is not going to be Kevin Byard. And I think the most important point, though, is that he's not going to try to be. He's just going to go out there and try and play a football game. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you would like to chime in, we'd be happy to have you. So red cleats. I was debating this. I have a Oilers blue jacket that I have. I don't typically, I try to avoid blue just because, as a color, because I'm not, I don't work for the team. I'm not there to dress up like the team. But I do have a jacket that would look good for Sunday, and I'm debating.
I think, wear it if you got it.
Well, the problem is I've got a red pocket square. I've got red Jordans.
I think you have to.
I've got navy slacks, and I've got a white undershirt. It's a good look. It's the only, so Nate Bain with their social media stuff reached out before the season started during training camp, was like, hey, do you guys want, he asked me if I wanted an Oilers jersey. I said, no, I can't, I'm not going to wear the Oilers jersey. I'm not not going to wear team gear. And two, I love it, but I don't. It's my favorite throwback. I think the Kelly Green Eagles are so overrated. I really do. I think it's a good look. I think it's way overhyped. It's a basic color scheme. It's just, it evokes emotions. It's not about the It's not about the emotions. It's about the uniform. The uniform for the Oilers, I think, is the best of the throwbacks. I think it's better than the Creamsicle Bucks. It's better than the Green Bay Packers have the worst throwbacks in the league, I think, by a mile. There's not a better color scheme. So I'm contemplating, but I'm not interested in I don't know. I don't want to look like a homer.
Don't you have an Oilers? They gave the show one.
They gave the show one. I said, if you want to put BR show and then 23 the year on it, then Lucas and I will take a picture with it. I don't know if every show got one, so I don't know if we can put it up in here. I don't know if that would incite a riot.
We don't want that.
No. I should have just asked. I think the Zone got one. I'm pretty sure
the Zone got one.
So the radio station has one. We got one specifically for the show, but I'm not going to wear it.
Really, I have a report you were seeing around town, skipping and wearing it. I know.
Skipping. I'm more likely to be skipping than wearing a jersey, and it's not the jersey is just not for me. We talked about this off the air. I'm not a jersey guy. But I'm okay with it. I'm not anti-jersey guy. You wear whatever the hell you want to wear. I don't care. I'm just probably going to take a funny video of you wearing a Titans helmet from the stands from my vantage point in the press box if, you look sad because you've got a full outfit on, and that objectively to me is hilarious.
I kind of want to do a full show with the helmet on.
With a helmet on?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a football helmet at home.
I do too, but it's not Titans.
No, mine's not either, which is good. Anyway, 615-737-1045 is the number. Eli in Nashville is next.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Great.
Hey, former intern here. I'm calling in to talk about the Titans and what movie they are.
Okay.
And I've got the perfect one for us. The scary movie for the Tennessee Titans this year is the Titanic.
Is the Titanic a scary movie?
I mean, if you're Leo DiCaprio.
Rose is so full of it. There's so much room. There's so much room. Leo did not have to die. That's just that almost makes me not like the Titanic. Like as a movie. It's just the ending is so stupid. There is so much room for him to continue to float on the raft. And if Rose is going to make it, I'm going to assume Leo's going to make it too. Terrible. Now, maybe he doesn't survive hypothermia, but you don't have to let him go drift into the Atlantic the way that he did.
He didn't drift. He sunk.
Which is another thing. Are you just immediately sinking?
Yeah, like, did you put rocks in your
pockets? Is the Titanic a bad movie? Is this what we're uncovering? Nothing pisses me off more than a good movie with a bad ending. I think Titanic is a Hall of Fame nominee for good movie, terrible ending. I don't know if it's a scary movie. Because we are going to do this at noon. What scary movie is the Titans season most like right now? And we'll give you the opportunity to win some Titans tickets. Not yet. At noon. Not yet. See, damn it, the phone lines are ready.
You did this.
I didn't. Eli did it. I didn't do it.
But it was in the description that he had a scary movie.
Yeah, but I don't read these things. I just hit the phone. I don't know what's there.
Why do I do it?
I don't know. You shouldn't. Don't waste time. Lucas is so checked out on what it is that job responsibility requires that he doesn't even put anything on there. He'll just say it in my ear and hope I remember. And when I screw up the name, because of course I'm not going to remember, he just sits there and laughs at me. Except his microphone is off, so it's just him laughing silently at my shame. It's great. I'm not doing this yet. They're all there. All right. Eli, I'm going to go ahead and say your nomination is not applicable. Titanic is not a scary movie. It's
a great movie with a bad ending.
Great movie with a bad ending. Bad ending. 615-737-1045 is the number. We'll take more of your phone calls. We can also get into the Heisman Watch. We haven't done the Heisman Watch this week just yet. So we will do that coming up next. Jonathan Crompton, former Vols quarterback, will be here to break down Tennessee at Kentucky this Saturday as well. Don't forget, we still have Greg Cosell breaking down Will Levis and Malik Willis and which quarterback gives them the best opportunity against the Falcons on Sunday. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Central Barbecue is the spot that you need to go, whether it's lunch, dinner, or catering. But if you don't have plans, tomorrow they've got a Halloween party that they are hosting with Food Boy Troy at their Hillsborough Village location. Food and drink specials. They're going to have live entertainment. There's going to be a costume contest for the whole family. So if you need something to do with your little ones or your friends, you can go to Central Barbecue. You can get some great food and drink specials. As I mentioned, you can enjoy the entertainment that they have provided. Tomorrow, October 27th, from 6 to 9 p.m., that's 1601 21st Avenue South. Central Barbecue for lunch, dinner, or catering. EatCBQ.com. Welcome back to the show. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're going to do the Heisman Watch here in just a second. Titans on the practice field a little later. Don't forget, former Vols quarterback Jonathan Crompton going to join us as well. I think that there's a lot of interesting components to this Falcons game that we're going to have to talk about here in just a little bit, because it appears that we have a surprise guest, Tempo the Coyote, which is not necessarily great for an audio medium, but a visual bit. Here he is on camera, and he's brought us a Nashville SC for the gold playoff flag. Now, this is not for me personally, I assume. It's not. I'm interviewing a mascot that doesn't talk. Are they sworn to silence, secrecy? Is this like mimes?
Yes, because their voice would give away their identity.
That's a shame. But it's very exciting.
You should give him a hug.
I'm not going to. It's lovely to see. I'll give you a fist bump. We're not going to hug. That's okay. But I am excited because Nashville SC, of course, has their first playoff match that they are getting ready to host in the club's history at Geodis Park coming up in the very near future. November the 7th, the playoffs start at Orlando here in just a couple of days. But November the 7th at Geodis Park is where you can get in on the action. I'm excited. I had so much fun at Geodis Park going to a couple of games this year. I know the club is excited, and I know that Lucas is excited to be a part of the broadcast. Good to see you, bud. Thanks for coming in. Okay, we could do a handshake. That's a little awkward for me.
Pull him in.
Nope, not doing it. No. I feel like I'm talking to a pet. It's lovely to see you, Tempo. All right. Nashville What? Because you know it makes me uncomfortable. You know it makes... What am I going to do? You know it makes me uncomfortable. I'm happy to see him. I did all the things. I love the guy. He's giving me the flag. I'm a big fan. Look at this. I'm a Nashville SC fan. I'm not hugging the Coyote. Stop it. Stop it. What are you laughing about back there? No. Ah! 6 to 10 feet. Out. You too. Everybody, get out. I told you I didn't want to do that. I'm such the wrong person to do these kind of things.
Oh, shout out Rich for making that happen.
Oh, my God.
Making all my dreams come true.
The round one, the best of three series in the Audi 2023 MLS Cup playoff starts on Monday, October 30th. Nashville SC traveling to Orlando to take on Orlando City SC. NashvilleSC.com is where you go. The playoff tickets are on sale now. The first ever MLS Cup playoff match at Geodis Park, as I mentioned, kick is at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November the 7th. The chat is delighted with my level of uncomfortableness with the mascot.
I'm in tears.
Me and T-Rack at least have a mutual understanding. I don't know this coyote, all right? This is a foreign coyote to me. It's like an acclimation period. When you get a pet or whatever, there has to be an acclimation period for us to be comfortable with one another. Okay, there's all kind of things that go into this, into creating a relationship. Me and T-Rack, we understand. We're gonna pass each other in the hallway like a Sports Center commercial going to work. I'm gonna get my coffee. I'm gonna fist bump T-Rack. We're not gonna say anything because he's not gonna say anything back to me. I'm gonna go on with my day. What are you two laughing about back there?
He showed me.
Thank you for doing a radio show back there without me while I'm doing the radio show. I'm just here by myself.
You're with your coyote friend.
No, I'm not.
Oh, that was so great. Actually just showed up on my stream over here of you getting hugged. That's what we're laughing about back
I'm
here.
so mad.
I told you I was going to do it, too.
I don't want it. I don't like hugs. Don't hug me. 615-737-1045 is the number. David in Clarksville is next. Hey, David.
Hey, boss. Oh, sorry about that.
You're good.
Hey, yeah. I don't know if you want me to do the movie or talk about the King leaving.
Talk about the King. Right. We'll do the movie stuff in 10 minutes.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I think it's a shame when you're seeing him sit on the sidelines. I love this guy playing. You can tell that when the way they're using him is just ridiculous, and it kind of, you can see it break his spirit kind of when he's standing there and he's not being utilized as he should be, and our team's paying for it, and also he's paying for it. As a person, I think they should go ahead and cut ties with him. I love him as a player, but just to make him happier and just, he's going to do very well wherever he goes.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, David. So,
Yes, sir.
to say that he's not being used properly, I guess my issue, David, and I understand the frustration when you see a player like Derrick Henry, who almost certainly is going to the Hall of Fame at some point in his future, and he's getting out-snapped in games this year or having an even snap count with Tajay Spears, who just got here, who, by the way, I think is going to be special. It has to drive you crazy just seeing there, and the camera flashes to him, and, Derrick Henry's out of the game. What are they doing? Well, they're passing because he holds them back in their passing game. It's just the reality of the situation. I said this yesterday. I'm not going to speak for Tim Kelly, but I bet you if you got Tim in a truly truth serum honest moment, if you asked him whether Derrick Henry was a help or a hindrance to the offense that he wants to run, he'd probably say, well, we got a lot of problems right now, but also, yeah, I could use a little more pass game friendly running back to be my feature back. I think that it's not that they're using him incorrectly. It's that they're getting taken out of the opportunities that they have to use him. They're not controlling leads, which is Derrick Henry is your closer. He is singular and a different kind of a player. But I don't think of Derrick Henry as a complete running back in the sense of today's game. I think of Derrick as the best pure runner in the NFL. Chubb would probably have challenged him for that this year. Jonathan Taylor, obviously missing the time that he did, is not going to be in the equation. There's a lot of fun running backs, but Derrick is the best pure runner in football, and obviously McCaffrey is what I think of when I think of a complete running back in today's game. It's not a traditional running back, but I think the definition of traditional running back has changed in Derrick Henry's lifetime, by the way.
So you're saying he's more of a Mariano Rivera rather than a Jacob deGrom?
Yes. And the problem is they're not closing games. They don't have leads. They can't bleed clock. Their offense isn't scoring at a rate that would allow them to kind of give themselves this cushion so that they can use Derrick Henry as the end-of-game battering ram where you're worn down, and second half, tough bleed. You got to stop Derrick Henry still. It is it's a frustrating situation for sure because you love him. You want to see him play. You know how important he is to the franchise and to the history of the franchise. And also, there's going to be a very uncomfortable conversation either, on Tuesday, either before the deadline or at the end of the season as to whether Derrick Henry makes sense on this roster moving forward. If they could move him for a price that was worthwhile, they would do it. That no deal that is worthwhile yet has materialized is the biggest reason that Derrick Henry is still on the roster. Are people doing the damn? Okay, we're going to do the scary movie thing next. That's fine. If you couldn't wait.
Couldn't hold your water.
Couldn't keep your powder dry. The coyote hugging me got you all excited. Now I don't know what to do. So we're going to do scary movie. What the Titans season is 2023 scary movies coming up next.
Look at that. 12 o'clock on the dot from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. Titans making a few moves yesterday as they claim safety Kavon Wallace off of waivers from the Arizona Cardinals. Wallace has 5 starts on the season with an INT to his name, also playing 80% of the Cardinals' defensive snaps. Titans also added former second-round pick Marlon Davidson to the practice squad and placed defensive lineman Taylor Stallworth on injured reserve. Titans practice yesterday saw some positives. Traylon Burks practiced fully along with Jeffrey Simmons, Tiertart, and Chris Moore. Ryan Tannehill and Josh Wiley, only Titans not at practice. Grizzlies tip off their season last night, starting the first game of Ja Morant's 25-game suspension. Grizzlies fall to the Pelicans 111-104. Desmond Bane scoring a game-high 32 points, but it wasn't enough to hold off teammates Zion Williamson and C.J. McCollum, who combined for 47 points. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour. Anybody else coming in here for hugs that I need to know about? I don't know. Head on a swivel.
Bert's flight doesn't leave till 3, bud.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Robert, I will not hug Robert. Speaking of things that I don't know if they've had their shots or not, I need to know that Robert Walsh has been properly, rather, is the word that I'm looking for, immunized from whatever the hell it is that Bert's carrying around on a day-to-day. Either way, Jonathan Crompton, former Vols quarterback, going to join us here in just a little bit. He's been breaking down Vols games for A to Z Sports all season long. He's been doing it for a couple seasons now. As a matter of fact, Cromp always has a good pulse on the situation. And hopefully he'll be able to talk to us about Joe Milton and what he's seeing from him in this offense and really how this offense is being run. The quarterback's perspective is so critical to this, and I think there's a lot of stuff that's easy for us to either because we don't know or we haven't been in college locker rooms or been on a field as a college football player. There's a lot of stuff that can get lost in the shuffle, which is why that we need smarter people like Jonathan Crompton to come in here and tell us about all the things that we don't have the nuance or sophistication to break down ourselves. Cromp is here. It's been too long. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm swell. I am excited because Tennessee always beats Kentucky, and this should be no different. I shouldn't feel any different about this game, should I, Jonathan?
No, man. Kentucky's Kentucky. You know, that'll be my mindset till the day I die. Kentucky is Kentucky.
And so because I know you and Charlie have been doing a great job, and Austin in the mix there as well with the A to Z Sports halftime and post-game show. You can catch that on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. A to Z Sports social handles. They do it for every Vols game. Cromp breaking it down in real time. Oh, my God. It looks like so much fun.
I stir the pot sometimes, but do you expect any less?
No, it's why we always enjoy your visits. It's not because you do, because you're not scared to. I have talked to a lot of athletes in my life, a lot of current and former athletes in my life, and it's not that they're scared to say anything. It just doesn't benefit them anything at all to say anything interesting ever to me.
Yeah, I have the mindset of, man, life's hard enough as it is. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. So I just have fun with it.
It's a good perspective to have, Cromp. And so tell me if I'm not being dramatic when I say, did they not make those fourth downs a little harder on themselves than need be in Tuscaloosa on Saturday?
Well, I've said it the whole tenure. Going back to Pittsburgh a few years ago at home, we make fourth downs harder than they need to be on ourselves. I mean, and I said this last week, being the head coach at my old high school, obviously I'm the offensive coordinator as well, that when we go for it on fourth down, yeah, I'm in the shotgun as well. But if I'm going to do something like that, I'm running quarterback run so I get an extra blocker. And we got a 240-pound quarterback, and we're handing it off to a tailback, and we're not getting any wedge blocks. If it's 3 inches, then yeah, I'm probably going to go into center too. But we never, I don't know. It's hard to watch sometimes in that aspect because it's almost like we're running the same fourth down plays over and over and over, and we get stuffed over and over and over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got a 240-pound quarterback. I promise you, you can fall forward for more than a yard.
It is one of the most confusing things. And then there's the idea, because, Crump, you're right, I don't have a problem with running out of shotgun on a 4th and 1. I really don't. But
we just got to be smarter with what we're running out of the shotgun then.
Yes. I agree with that assessment. Would you say that's the biggest criticism over the course of Heupel's tenure thus far that has remained as far as his coaching decisions?
I mean, I would say so. It's, we can always get, we're human. We can get overcritical just because, we're human. If it doesn't go our way. If it works, then everybody's like, oh, great play call. But from the coaching side of it, I look at it and go, how can we be a little more efficient? If you look at other schools' 4th down rate, I guess you would say, not necessarily success rate, but for it rate, you got to have a little bit more creativity than lining up in a bunch set and run an inside zone with a tailback that is not a Derrick Henry style tailback. If we got that, hey, I ain't got no problem with it. But we don't have the Derrick Henry style tailback. There's a reason why there's only one Derrick Henry.
With the running game right now, we know how much of their success is predicated off it. What happened from first half to second with the ground game?
We got 0 push up front.
Oh.
Obviously, and this I said on a halftime show, if there's one team that you never count out, it's Nick Saban coach team. The past 16, 17 years, whatever, that's been Alabama. But you never count out a Nick Saban coach team because he is arguably the best in-game / halftime adjuster there has ever been. And he did a great job at halftime getting his guys ready to play. And we got 0 push up front if you go back and watch that game in the second half. I mean, I'm talking about none. There was no holes, no lanes for the running backs to pick and make cuts in. That was the biggest thing, is just the lack of push that we got from first to second half. Because first half it was there. Second half it went away quickly, and then it's very hard to give up a long run and then a deep ball right out of the gate and expect to keep the momentum. I've been critical about that in the sense of I do think we need to get in the transfer portal and find us some game experienced DBs. I mean, I think that is one of our weaknesses on our defense. Our defense is good, but our weakness is the pass game on defense.
And that's been really Jonathan Crompton, former Vols quarterback. You can catch him on the A to Z Big Orange halftime and post-game show during and after every Tennessee game throughout the course of the season. He and Charlie Burris do an exceptional job there. That is the thing that kind of jumps out to me. Cromp, is the transfer portal. I don't know if they thought that they would have a better showing from this collection of wide receivers. I assume they thought they'd have a better showing from this collection of wide receivers than they otherwise did.
I did too, especially after the Orange Bowl.
And so when you see other teams equipping themselves, not just on defense, because the secondary could have certainly used just bodies, if nothing else. And I know that they did try to get some players, and with relatively little success there. But Dabo is not actively not using the portal as a strategy. That is not something that's happening with Josh Heupel. They just haven't gotten guys to commit yet.
Yeah. Brew going down hurts us, obviously. We all know that. But I was personally, I wasn't overly impressed on how Brew was used. I'm a big Brew McCoy. I think I like him. I'm a fan of him. After the Orange Bowl, I thought he would be used a little more than just the role last year. Couple of screens here, there, and more blocking. Then obviously the injury hurts us. We don't have a guy if you look at our offense over Heupel's tenure, it kind of reminds me of the 2010 Clemson of we got to have a dude that can run by you. You know what I mean? Like the Sammy Watkins era. When you have that, our offense goes. Right now, we don't have that. We had it last year with Jalen, and everybody sees what he can do. And it's not that he can't run routes, but you still got to be able to stretch the field in this system. Our guys have not stretched the field, or if we have, we haven't caught it. You know, Virginia game right out of the gate. It hits him in the hands. He's still running if he catches that one ball.
Yeah.
And I know, I get it. Things happen. We're not going to be 100%. We're going to drop passes or we're going to miss passes or miss a block and all that. But consistently, we have not had a guy that can stretch the defense to get our intermediate pass game available. And then that's where, myself included, but a lot of fans get frustrated thinking, and if you look at it, we're not getting over the top. We're not taking shots. Well, guys aren't running by the guys to be able to take the shots. That's the thing. That's where the portal does come into play. I know everybody thought Thornton was going to come in and kind of be that guy, but has not been. I mean, we need to find somebody. Even it doesn't have to be the portal. It can be at a high school, but we need to find a guy that can run routes, but that can, when the time calls for it, can stretch the defense so then we can go underneath. You know what I mean? Squirrel can run, but he's not – his body size is not a guy you can see that far down the field. He is your intermediate pass game, but we don't have anybody that can go take the top off is what's called, to get the underneath dig routes. So right now that's why it's looking, quote-unquote, lackluster. But I do think this week we'll come out and perform well because, you know, Kentucky, once again, Kentucky is Kentucky.
Kentucky's always there for you. When you have a down week, maybe you get a little chesty heading into Alabama and Nick Saban checks you. You've got Kentucky waiting for you on the other side.
We got Kentucky and Vandy, baby. Here we go.
Jonathan Crompton at JCromp8. It's always great to talk to you, buddy. It's negligent of me to wait until this long in the season to have you on, but I certainly enjoy your insights. I know the audience always likes hearing from you as well. Continued success throughout the course of the season, and we'll be watching at halftime and postgame on the Big Orange broadcast with you and Charlie.
Thanks, man.
That's Jonathan Crompton hanging out with us on 104.5 The Zone. All right, Jackson. The floodgates are waiting. They're sitting there, all of them. So many people want to compare the Tennessee Titans 2023 season to a horror movie for the opportunity to win tickets to the Falcons game on Sunday. So many of you.
Should we give ours first?
Why, are you trying to knock some people out of this thing?
No.
Because I don't have a phone line. I don't have a phone line to give right now. So why don't we give ours coming up next? We'll also talk about what Greg Cosell broke down on Malik Willis and Will Levis ahead of what projects to be Will Levis' first career start in the pros, and we'll mix the calls in between as we continue the final hour of the show here on 104.5 The Zone. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is a great support system to have if you're somebody who's starting to feel the experience of ED. It's an unpleasant thing when you don't get to perform like you know that you're capable of or that you know like you used to. The Tennessee Men's Clinic can help get you right in that department because a lot of dudes deal with ED. As you start to age, your body changes. You want to make sure that you have the help from the experienced staff of the Tennessee Men's Clinic who will help you find the treatment path that makes the most sense. You're wasting time if you're just going to be negative about it, if you're just going to hope that the situation corrects itself. That most dudes wait a year or longer to seek help. The Tennessee Men's Clinic obviously does not advise that because they know they can help get you back up and running ASAP. They will help you find the treatment plan that makes the most sense for you as the individual because no one-size treatment fits all. The TennesseeMen'sClinic.com is where you go for more information. That's the TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. So you've been waiting very patiently because you know I've got a pair of Titans tickets and a pair of VIP tailgate tickets to give you for this Sunday at Nissan Stadium, courtesy of Bullseye Event Group, Titans and the Falcons. You can hear it right here on 104.5 The Zone. But here's the deal, okay? We're going to mix these in throughout the last, so we're not going to go rat-a-tat-tat. It would make me insane, and I love you all, and I know you have good ones. But some of you won't have good ones, and I don't want to go straight through with good and bad. So we're going to mix these in around the show that we're doing instead of just completely giving ourselves over to the hell that is trying to figure out which horror movie the Tennessee Titans 2023 season is. Do you have a nominee?
I'm going to go with Scream. People keep disappearing. They're going to better places, as you accurately pointed out a couple days ago. So...
Now, you've been on a Scream kick lately, haven't you?
It's really been the only horror movie I've watched this Halloween season. I've watched 5 of the 6 so far, so it's really my only reference point.
Okay. Are you a big scary movie person under normal circumstances? Because I am not. I do not, like, I'm good with thrillers, but the gore stuff, like, I remember watching Hostel. Like in 6th grade. That's probably a reference that you're too young to understand, which pains me deeply. Right over your head?
Right over it.
Don't go watch it. It's gratuitously violent. But the blood and guts stuff does not do it for me. Thrillers I'm in for. Like my favorite scary movie of all time is probably not one that people would consider a scary movie, even though I consider it terrifying. It's called Prisoners. It's so good. But that's not applicable for this exercise. Mine's Final Destination. Because...
Oh, God.
You like that one, don't you?
Like, you would be in contention if we were...
It's pretty good.
I like it.
It's pretty good. So, if you're not familiar with the plot of Final Destination, you've got a group of people embarking on a trip, and the main character, I'm pretty sure his name's Alex, has these, premonitions. So he sees the incidents that causes these terrifying deaths happen before they're happening. So many of you foresaw what the 2023 Titans were going to be. You tried to warn us. And because one, I'm not interested in covering a bad football team, but whatever. Them's the breaks, Boris. Thank you.
It was delayed gratification. But we got there.
I'll take it. So, Final Destination, you get the premonitions about all the different ways and in ways that 7 of your friends are going to die, okay? So, KB, first casualty. That was the premonition that we all foresaw. They're trying to get him to take a pay cut in the offseason. Most teams either get the player to take the pay cut or move on from them. This one didn't because Byard called their bluff and still ended up taking a pay cut to an extent, restructured his deal, ultimately got anyway. So KB's the first one down. Not everybody dies at once in my horror movie, okay? And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if Derrick Henry is next. I don't know if Hopkins is next. Those would be the 2 most realistic. I'd put Danico Autry in that conversation for no other reason besides he's a pass rusher and he's valuable. But I do think that the plot of Final Destination is about as good as you could get for this particular situation. Because I could totally foresee a situation in which Derrick Henry goes on to a better place, but instead of, a cloudy situation a fluffy, cloudy situation in the sky, it's purple and black and, Ravens uniform.
We should probably stop killing off players.
I'm not killing anybody.
But, this is the second time this week we've done this.
What do you mean? I haven't killed anybody this week.
I mean about saying Kevin Byard's in a better place.
Philadelphia is an objectively better situation. He is in a better football place. Yes, you want me to say football place?
Yeah.
You're the one playing the sob song with Kevin Byard highlights in the background. I'm the one doing the obituary this week.
That was more of a graduation song. A funeral song would have been like "See You Again."
You basically a graduation song. The thing is, the song is literally called "Good Riddance."
The lyrics were great.
Yeah. Okay. 615-737-1045. So I'm not going to do this the whole segment, but I'm willing to mix them in as we go. The best one, obviously, is going to get to go to the Titans-Falcons game on Sunday and get 2 VIP tailgate tickets to go hang out with Slay at the Bridge Building, which I have not had the opportunity to attend because I'm working. But he seems like he's having a great time every time he's up there. I'm very jealous. All right. Let's start with Johnny the Poet. We'll start the bidding strong because I know Johnny's going to bring it. All right, Johnny, what you got?
No sense complaining. No time for whining. But the Titans movie, it's not The Shining. It's been more like a bad, bad dream. It also makes me want to scream. And as losses mount, we feel the burn. One good title could be Wrong Turn. Yet, I hear excuses, and they're just words. This Titans team is for the birds.
Yes! 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 Johnny is the best. We shouldn't have led with Johnny. You're not going to... You will have the opportunity to win the tickets, even if you don't come up with a poem, the way that Johnny just did. But of course,
the bar has been set.
We have set the bar high. You have to achieve over Johnny the Poet. Johnny, stay with us. Actually, Jackson, take Johnny's information down if you would, because I do need to do some actual football analysis around the rest of this stuff, and we will need to keep people's information as we go. So Jackson will follow up with Johnny, and we will get to more phone calls on that here in just a second. Exceptional. All right. Will Levis, Mike Vrabel's not going to tell you that he's starting. Damn, that press conference was funny yesterday. Not just because Vrabel had a freak out on, not a freak out, but like just a moment, let's call it, with Joe Rexrode, where he's just frustrated by the quarterback questions and making fun of Rexrode's hands, which made me laugh. But because Mike said, I never said Will's going to be the starter. And he's right. He didn't. Ian Rappaport did. And Taylor Lewan did. And I feel like I talked about it on Monday, but if not, we definitely talked about it on Tuesday with the Rappaport situation. Will Levis is probably, undoubtedly, going to be the player who takes the majority of snaps at quarterback for the Titans on Sunday. That does not rule Malik Willis out from playing outright. Oh, my God, Jackson, did you see this? People have dropped off the line. Johnny scared them. Johnny has elevated the level of competition. Good, I like this. This is how we get the best of it. A.J. Parkinson says, hire Johnny the Poet for something. We honestly should. That was tremendous. But Will Levis, with his first career start in his rookie season, and they're not telling you that he's going to start. Levis wasn't telling you yesterday when he was interviewed in the locker room that he's going to start. Malik Willis said, I'm going to do whatever I can to help the team win. There is going to be, regardless of who ends up playing out the string here, because I don't think it should be an open possibility for both of them, but I don't want to, I don't like that on principle. My gut instinct says that Levis should start the rest of the way, regardless of Tannehill's health status, regardless of Malik and the bad hand that he's been dealt. And I do think Malik Willis has been dealt a bad hand, but, we played the Boris Johnson drop earlier. That's what it is, and that sucks, and I hate it for Malik, but he was not the right guy. He may have been the right guy, but it's just not the right time for Malik. And they tried it. 9 games of NFL experience and a handful of starts in those 9 games is a hell of a lot more opportunity than a lot of dudes get to show you something. So I think that they have, while they have not put him in an overwhelming position to succeed, I do think that there has been opportunity for him at least to show them that he can help as opposed to contribute to some of the issues that they're having. And right now, he's more contributor than he is solution. But I don't want to say that he should just immediately be ruled out because it's Levis's show, so let's do it. I hate that, but I do kind of feel that way. Now, Greg Cosell, we had him break both of these quarterbacks down on the latest episode of The Install. And I want to start with Malik Willis first. Well, actually, let's start with Levis because that's who we talked about, and these answers might go sequentially. This was Greg talking about Will Levis under the likelihood that Will Levis is going to be the starting quarterback for the Titans on Sunday.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. I think there's much to potentially like about Will Levis. I think he's a certain kind of player. I think he needs the system to be really defined for him so that the reads are clean. Now, obviously, that cannot happen on every snap, as you well know. You know, there's a defense out there as well. There's going to be difficult yardage situations, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, where the defense will have the tactical advantage, and it's more difficult to play quarterback in the NFL for a young player. But I think Levis throws a good ball. There are times his ball placement is not as precise as you would like. We'll see if that's the kind of thing over time that can be, subtly and meaningfully improved. But I think that if Will Levis were to be the starter, which it seems to be the case that he will, I think he's the kind of quarterback that needs to play through games and make the mistakes, which is always easy for an outsider like me to say because you're still trying to win football games. But I think if you ultimately believe, which judging by the draft choice and the trade up to get him, you would think that the Titans' present organization believes that he could become that guy. I think you need to allow him to work through all that. And it's going to take a little time. He's going to make some head-scratching mistakes. And you got, like I said, it's easy for me to say, but you almost have to live with it.
Are you ready to live with it? That's basically, I mean, you know what you're signing up for. You know what he was last year in college. You know why he fell out of the first round. Will Levis is far from a guaranteed lock. None of them are. I mean, look how many of the first-round quarterbacks fall. I mean, not fall, but I guess fall short of expectation. This is so much an imperfect science. And again, Will Levis he's not only was he not a first-round draft pick, because more often than not, the first-round draft picks go to the worst teams in football, but he's on one of the, I mean, are they one of the worst teams in football right now? They're 2-4. I don't, maybe that's too strong an indictment, but I don't know if I don't think they're one of the worst teams in football right now.
Definitely below average.
Oh, for sure. But, like, how far below average are we talking? Who's the worst team in football right now?
Panthers. They haven't won a game.
Yeah. And they're actively letting people seek trade requests. And Frank Reich is, yeah, okay, it's the Panthers. Who's the second worst team in football?
The NFC is pretty bad.
The NFC, yeah. The AFC is more congested than it is. So, okay. But I do think that the Titans are, let's say, bottom third, to be fair.
Cardinals are pretty bad. Even though Dobbs has played well.
I think they've shown me more than the Titans have. That defense is awful.
They're 1-5.
Awful. Yeah. Fair enough. Anyway, so that's Cosell's analysis of Levis. You've got to be prepared for the ugly picks. He's going to throw some ugly interceptions. And whether I think that you hurt him more by pulling him if he has bad turnovers, and I don't know that they will. I don't think they're going to I really don't think they're going to preseason this. I know Vrabel was talking about 1 series here, 2 series there, and stuff like that yesterday. I think Vrabel's just doing that to maintain some kind of competitive advantage. And you know what? Whatever. If that's what he thinks he needs to do, fine, because they haven't won a lot of football games lately, and if you think you can get an edge, throwing Art just a little bit off, good luck and God bless. I hope it works for you. But the Levis situation is obviously going to be a grow-as-you-go scenario, as it would be for Malik. And you'll hear from Cosell on Malik in just a second. We're mixing the scary movie topic in. What scary movie best represents the Titans' 2023 season? Jackson went with Scream. I went with Final Destination. Johnny the Poet, The Leader in the Clubhouse, a poem ending in the birds. How about Nick in Antioch next?
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Hit me with it.
So my movie is going to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, God. That's okay. Why?
Because all these players, well, let's just say we can play it both ways. Either the Eagles is cutting off our players, taking all our players, or you can say Rand Carthon is going around massacring the players.
Well,
you can sprinkle Vrabel in there too, because I know he don't want to do it, but he ain't got no choice.
Rand's only gotten the one. I mean, I guess in the offseason. Thank you for the call, Nick. It's a solid submission. I think a little gory. The blood has really not started to flow just yet. So I think Chainsaw Massacre might be a tad extreme. But
Johnny's still the leader in the clubhouse.
Johnny.
That was awesome. He had even incorporated my movie, and that appeases my ego.
I don't think he did that. I think you don't think he had that prepared prior to him.
I think he did, but it appeased my ego a little bit, and so that it doesn't hurt his case.
When did you get an ego?
About day 3.
Oh, for God's sakes. That smelly little room back there can't hold any of you down, it seems.
About 2 hours ago, when somebody called me a talking head, went right to the ego.
Not the microphone with the giant audience that you're in front of every day now until Lucas comes back or until such time, until whatever. I don't know. Not the microphone. Somebody just had to tell you that they were listening to you for you to feel like a talking head. Good.
Yeah, I can't see the people when the microphone.
Okay,
is on.
well, they're not the people. This is a lesson that I learned very early on. All right, I already have enough problems with tone and pretentiousness. They're not the people. They're people. We're the people.
We're the talking heads.
We're something. So from Levis to Willis, Greg gave a pretty strong assessment and has been doing so ever since Malik started getting opportunities. He was on 3HL last week. We played that audio for you earlier in the week. So I wanted to refresh the conversation with Greg and ask him, basically, is Malik Willis still making the same mistakes that he was early on?
And again, he's put in a difficult situation. So what I'm saying is not a definitive statement for the rest of his career. It could be, but it may not be. But there's still too many concerning snaps in which he does not process the routes versus the coverage, with the result that he does not turn the ball loose to open receivers. He doesn't really have an intuitive pocket feel. He's overly reactive to any opposing jersey color. Now, he will make a play doing that on occasion because he can run. But for a guy that can move really well, he doesn't have great vision on the move. And that's, another potential issue. So again, is this a defining moment in his career? Am I saying he should never see the field? Of course, I'm not saying that, Buck. But, if you want him to work through all that, you've got to let him play games. If he's the guy you think is the guy, then you got to let him play games.
So that's Greg on Malik. Now, Greg's not actively saying that he doesn't agree with this 2-quarterback proposition, but that's basically what he's saying when he's talking about you've got to let both of them play through it. One is better than the other. Mike said he wasn't prepared to make that statement. Maybe he honestly thinks that way. I don't know what's in Mike Vrabel's head. I'm not going to pretend to know. Otherwise, he'll tell me to think like a dude, think like an athlete, think like a grown man, then you'll think like me. God. It's just such a thorough takedown of another human being. It's like art. I appreciate it. The press conferences are largely useless at this point, beyond the moment where Vrabel just wants to rip one of our heads off.
That is the hip drop tackle of Titans media.
I told him a couple of years ago, Vrabel, that I was going to stop tweeting quotes and just start keeping a camera on him at all times for him to make the faces that I use for social media content, because that's really as productive as those things are getting at this point, anyway. All right, one more submission before we take a break. We'll have last call for phone calls. We've got one more segment to do, but we'll squeeze one more scary movie nominee in here. How about Shavaz up next? No, Shavaz doesn't want to do the scary movie thing, but Shavaz does want to talk about Derrick Henry, so we'll do an actual football call. How about you, Shavaz?
I also wanted to incorporate, thank you for taking the call.
Sure.
To incorporate also the same thing. Before I get to Derrick Henry, I want to say that we're witnessing a Freddy Krueger on Elm Street. So, our dreams all keep getting popped.
Yeah, and that's a tough one.
The cleanup is the hurtful thing come from some of your type, the analysts of the game. See, the game, you made a statement that it has changed. No, it can evolve into what it wants to be according to the thinkers of the game. Now, Derrick Henry, he needs to be with a team that's got a good running and throwing quarterback, and another good runner with him. And I think that the Ravens would be that type of team. But I think that the Titans is the same type of team, according to Mike. So I think we had that at one time, but some of our linemen let us down, like that lady said the other day. So our dreams got popped, and Freddie came back, and with the same old Titans. And so, he'd go back to Molden, our team again. So thank you.
We appreciate the call, Shabazz. 60 seconds on the clock. It's pretty good. Last call for phone calls, 615-737-1045. We'll see who wins the Titans-Falcons tickets with your scary movie nominees that represent the 2023 Tennessee Titans season. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. The future of joint pain relief is here. It's QC Kinetics, advanced regenerative medicine. Amazing stuff. Hey, it's Buck Rising. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking lasting relief. QC Kinetics does not mask the pain, but the treatments do go to the very root of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joint to restore and repair the damaged tissue. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, and your back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Life is about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. What scary movie do the 2023 Titans most remind you of? For the chance to win some Titans tickets, we've got Johnny the Poet saying the birds. Nick in Nashville thinks it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What do you got to work with? Steven is up next. What's happening, Steven?
What's up, guys? I'm going to go with Scary Movie 2.
Why 2?
The Scary Movie 2 because the guy with the strong hand, I think that's going to be, let's say we win this week against Atlanta, and then Thursday Mike Vrabel's going to trot Tannehill out there with his bum ankle, and we're hanging off the ledge as fans wanting for something different in the new QB, and he's going to hand Tannehill to us on Thursday. Here, take my strong hand.
That's a pretty good one. I appreciate it. That's just the visual. The visual alone is worth the submission. I mean, I said it yesterday. I really think the Tannehill tenure needs to end. I don't know if they'll do that or not. I think Mike thinks that he still gives them the best chance, but man, that's tough. Keith in Greenbrier next. Hey, Keith.
Hey, Buck. Thanks for taking my call. Enjoy your show. Not going to hug you, but going to like you.
That's fine.
Okay, my submission, watching the Titans is, well, they're pretty ridiculous. Sometimes they do things that just make me laugh. I'm going to go with Bud Abbott. Abbott and Costello meet the Wolfman.
What's the vintage on that? What's the year?
Oh, man, that's like 1933, I want to say. I mean, it's old school. We're going back old school.
Yeah.
Vrabel's a straight Lou Costello, and the rest of the team is Bud Abbott, just doing ridiculous stuff to get out of trouble for the Wolfman. That's coming to get him.
That's a really good one. Thank you for the call. A 1939 horror movie. This is why I love you guys. You have range. 1930. I heard 39.
I heard 3.
Did you say 33 or 39, Keith?
That era.
Okay. Thank you for the call. Goodness. All right. We will go next to Larry. Will be our last submission. Hey, Larry.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Great.
I'm going to go old school, too. 1980, John Carpenter. The movie's called The Fog. And the reason I picked The Fog is it's defined as a low-lying cloud that can usually and heavily influenced by nearby bodies of water, topography, and wind conditions. So whether it's large lake-like fluid defensive ends coming for a quarterback, whether it's mountainous defensive tackles and nose tackles stopping the run, or the breezy, speedy safeties and cornerbacks, or whether it's a poem that has 5 different scary movies that's awful foggy. At Titan Stadium, usually the fog gets lifted.
I like that one. That's a good one. Oh, Larry made it tough. I thought for sure Johnny the Poet was going to be our runaway winner. He did come up. I mean, he is a poet, so the poem thing, like, I don't want to give him bonus points because he's like every time he calls, he does the poem. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make Jackson pick.
That was my first Johnny the Poet experience.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, he's delightful.
It wowed me a little bit.
Sure. So, are you capable of making an impartial decision, or are you starstruck by Johnny the Poet?
I will need some thinking.
Okay. Well, you can decide. You can decide. We've taken down people's contact information. Jackson will do so with those of you who remain on hold, and he will contact you when he has figured out who he wants to give the tickets to. All right, very good. Let's do some polls, bud.
Frazier. Down goes Frazier. The polls have closed and the votes have been tallied. It's the segment where bias takes over and nuance goes to die. Now, here's your favorite Buck Rising Show correspondent, Lucas. Pan, make that poll Zika.
I kind of think I have to make an executive decision. I said that I was going to let Jackson decide, but I've decided to take things into my own hands.
Larry, you are a winner.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I think
Stay on hold, and I will get your contact info here shortly.
I don't think it's recency bias. I just think the fog is a better fit than the birds. Larry Jackson will follow up with you shortly. Thank you to all of you who participated and those of you who tried to call in as well.
Great poem, though, Johnny. Really appreciate that.
Was a good one. Try again, Johnny. You were so close. You almost had him wowed. You'd pulled the wool over his eyes just slightly, and then I remembered, the birds doesn't really fit.
It was funny, though. All right, these are the polls. They are presented by Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers sells below MSRP on all non-specialty new Fords. Wrong poll.
Wait, wrong poll. What does that mean?
I had the wrong one pulled up on my phone.
Okay.
Who has been your favorite non-Titans team to watch this season? 51% going with the Dolphins. 22% going with the 49ers. 15% say the Chiefs. And we got some submissions for the Lions, the Ravens, from Back Nine Bourbon saying the Ravens. And a lot of baseball teams, the Rangers, the Kansas City Royals.
What?
World Series coming up. Rangers Diamondbacks this Friday.
If you say so.
All right. Who is the worst team in the NFL right now? 50% going with the Carolina Panthers. 30% going with the Broncos. 9% with the Cardinals. And then a lot of people wrote in the Titans.
Yeah, it's tough for me to not put them with that group, even though I recognize they're not as bad as that group.
All right. If the Titans were dressing up for Halloween, what would they be? A lot of fiery dumpsters. Dress up as the bench warmers.
Mayonnaise. No mayonnaise?
No mayonnaise. The Grinch.
Seems like a layup.
The Grinch, because their inept play is constantly stealing our football joy from Michael. That was sad. Michael made me sad.
I shouldn't have laughed as hard at your pain as I just did, but it was funny.
All right, Buck enjoys our pain. That no new news there. Who is Tennessee's biggest rival? 58% going with Alabama, 34% Florida, 5% Kentucky, and 3% with Vandy.
I don't think I enjoy your pain. I just think that sometimes pain happens to be funny, and unfortunately for you, you're the team that I cover the most.
I did enjoy your pain earlier when the mascot hugged you, so I guess I had that coming.
That's correct. When the coyote hugged me and I didn't want physical contact from the coyote, that was painful for me.
Here's the reveal. I specifically asked the coyote to hug you after you told me not to.
Okay, that's just you. That's just you out here with your newly found ego, grabbing for more clout to say that you devised the plan for the coyote to come in here and hug me. Shameful. Those polls? All right, very good. I'm glad we could run over each other at the end. That's the show. If you missed any of it, check out the podcast. I got a boogie because I've got a meeting with our bosses. God knows what they're going to talk to me about. We'll find out if I'm still here tomorrow. No, I'm just teasing. Blaine and Mickey coming up next. They'll keep you entertained. 3HL on after that. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you tonight on Primetime.